Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Insurance Runs, brought to you by our good friends at State Farm, right here on opensports.com. I'm your host, as always, Sid Rosenberg, and today we're going to talk baseball with David Pinto, author of baseballmusings.com, one of the best baseball blogs out there on the web. So here he is. David, how are you, Dave?
I'm great, Sid. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for stopping by today here on Insurance Runs. Surprise division leaders, the Texas Rangers, the Milwaukee Brewers. I know they had a good year last year, but no Ben Sheets this year. In fact, no CC Sabathia as well. So, plus the Dodgers with the best record in baseball without Manny for much of the year. Texas, Milwaukee, Los Angeles, surprised by the success of these ball clubs.
I'm definitely surprised by Milwaukee. Losing Sheets and Sabathia put a huge hole in the pitching staff. But they've recovered extremely well, especially with Gallardo pitching as well as he has. And they've even been able to weather losing Ricky Weeks for the year to an injury. Texas has basically took Milwaukee's pitching coach from last year, Mike Maddox, and gotten their ERA down into the mid-4s. And that's where they need to be. The offense on that team is fantastic. If they can just get the pitching decent, they win, which is what they're doing. As for the Dodgers, man, they've been fantastic. Juan Pierre might be MVP of the National League this year, given the way he's played for Manny.
He has done a great job, no doubt, and Joe Torre's done a fine job as well. Talking about Joe Torre, his former team, the New York Yankees, Mariano Rivera, David, not happy about having to walk Longoria intentionally on Saturday, proceeds to blow the save. Then on Sunday, in a 1-1 ball game, he gets Longoria in the ninth and closes it out. Joe Girardi pretty much says, my bad, I should have let Mariano pitch to him on Saturday. Mariano can get anybody out. Your thoughts on the Rivera-Longoria saga this weekend?
Oh, I think Joe was probably playing the percentages. This is what a manager has to do. He has to decide who's the best player to walk, who's the best player to pitch to. Maybe he made a mistake Saturday, but Rivera wasn't exactly struggling on Sunday when he had to get Longoria for the third out. It's a different situation. I'm not sure that Joe made a terrible mistake there.
Yeah, I tend to disagree, actually. I know Longoria is having a great year, could be the AL MVP right now, but Rivera is the best in the history of the game, and by the way, is still real good. So if you're going to get beat by Longoria, but don't have the guy who's the best of all time go out like that. I mean, to me, that was a little embarrassing for Mariano on Saturday.
Yeah, but, Mariano Rivera's been through a lot in his career. I think he can take a tiny little bit of embarrassment like that. They're very close. I mean, Girardi caught Rivera early in his career. They know each other very well. I don't think this is going to be a big deal.
All right, let's talk about another future Hall of Famer. Talking about Rivera as the best in the history of the game. Unhappy Tom Glavine unceremoniously shown the door by Atlanta again. And I know that Scherholtz has come out and said, I want to make an apology face-to-face with Glavine, but the GM, Frank Wren, doesn't feel that way. Basically said to Glavine, hey, you're not good enough to command a $1 million bonus and stick around. With all the success Glavine had in Atlanta in his 2 stays over the years, is that any way to treat a guy, the former Atlanta Brave?
No. They should have done the right thing from the PR point of view, is bring Glavine up, pay him the $1 million, give him a farewell game, and then let him go. It's one of those things where what the Braves did was a correct baseball move, but it wasn't a correct PR move. And they've managed to piss off one of the great players in their franchise history.
Yeah, the feeling is the Braves are so cash-strapped, that $1 million means a lot, yet they acquire Nate McLeod from the Pirates over the weekend. Now the next question is, Glavine, he says a couple of teams have already contacted him in Clifton about pitching again. Do you think we'll see Tom Glavine on a contender here in the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, I would not be surprised at that at all. I mean, he's a left-hander. Teams always covet left-handers. Someone will find an extra $1 million to put Glavine on the roster and give him a try.
All right, it's a diehard Met fan, by the way. He killed us the last couple of years. that one ninth inning against the Marlins a couple of years ago, I'll never forget. Roy Halladay, David, won his 10th game of the season this weekend, had a big effort just yesterday, Sunday, against the Kansas City Royals. Right now, is it fair to say Roy Halladay is the best pitcher in baseball?
No, I think Johan Santana is still the best pitcher in baseball, but Roy Halladay is very, very close. I mean, one thing you have to love about Halladay is that he's so efficient, he's able to go out and complete games. He doesn't need to worry about the bullpen blowing the game for him. He goes out there, he gives you 8 innings, he gives you 9 innings. And everything he does is good. But everything Santana does is a little bit better. And for that matter, this year, Greinke's probably just a little bit better. Long term, though, I would take Halladay over Greinke at this point.
Yeah, I would too, and I also agree that Santana is the best pitcher in baseball. Now, David, I know you consider yourself a stats guru. There's been a pretty big drop-off this year offensively. Those numbers aren't the same as they used to be. Could you shed some light on what the reason is for that? Why are the offensive numbers down this year?
Well, they really dropped in the last 3 weeks. They're down into the the upper 8s and low 9s after being in the upper 9s earlier in the year, and it looks like home runs are off and walks are off, and those are two of the big pillars of pitching ability. And I think what happened is teams finally got tired of pitchers like Adam Eaton and Chan-Ho Park screwing up, and they've gone to their minor leagues. We've seen A.J. Happ come up. We've seen Baltimore bring up some good young pitchers. We saw Bastardo pitch last night, and bringing up these young guys who actually can pitch and getting rid of these lousy veterans has really turned things around the last 3 weeks.
All right, we're about a third of the way through the season right now, David, and we already spoke about the Cy Young. You like Greinke over Halladay. Both guys certainly deserve it at this point. Let's talk about a couple of the awards, one-third of the way through. If you're going to give Greinke the Cy Young in the American League, how about the Cy Young in the National League, the MVP for both leagues, and maybe even a Rookie of the Year? What do you think?
I think Johan Santana is by far the Cy Young winner in the National League. I don't think there's anyone even close to him.
Really? I'm going to stop you for a second because I'm a diehard New York Met fan, and I would love to see Santana get his third Cy Young, but I know this is going to sound crazy because Lincecum won up for San Francisco last year, but I think everybody is sleeping on Matt Cain in San Francisco, 7-1 with an ERA in the low twos. I know the Giants aren't in first like the Mets, but if you look at Matt Cain's numbers, and I'm a Santana fan, it's actually closer than you think.
Well, it is close, but Santana's ERA is about a half a run better, and ERA is extremely important. Santana's striking out a lot more people. He's walking a lot fewer, and he's giving up fewer home runs. So to me, every stat for Santana is better than Cain. The other person I'd just throw out there is Dan Herron, who's pitching fantastically but getting absolutely no support from his team. Right this second, I would vote for Santana over Cain.
All right, so you would have Greinke out of the American League, Santana out of the National League. Let's talk about MVP, NL. Is it as easy as Albert Pujols? Is there anybody else out there?
You have to start with Albert Pujols and explain why he shouldn't get the MVP. Chase Utley is having a very good year, and Chase Utley plays a more important defensive position, and he plays it extremely well. Right now, I would lean toward Albert because he's having such a fantastic year, but you always have to watch for Chase Utley there when he's playing as well as he is. And
on the Yale side, we talked earlier about Evan Longoria, the year he's having with Tampa Bay. Is he your choice in the American League right now?
He is my choice, again, based on defense. Justin Morneau is having a fantastic year, as is Kevin Youkilis. But again, it's first base versus third base. The person you have to watch out for is Joe Mauer, who got a late start but is having an incredible season. And again, he's a fantastic defensive catcher.
Miguel Cabrera having a pretty good year in Detroit as well, right?
You can't count out Miguel Cabrera, no. But right now, these other people are playing a little bit better than Miguel.
All right, fantastic. David, that is a super job, and thank you so much for joining us right here on Insurance Runs. You can check David's work out at baseballmusings.com. You can also follow David on Twitter at twitter.com/statsguru. David, terrific job. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Thanks, Sid. Take care.
You got it, buddy. That's going to do it for Insurance Runs, brought to you by our good friends at State Farm right here on Open Sports. I'm Sid Rosenberg. Be sure to come back on Wednesday Fantasy Whiplash with Paul Greco of FantasyPros911.com. Have a good day. We'll see you on Wednesday.
The future of sports on the web is open.